Right then guys, it's PSL here and I'm here for the second episode in my Formula 1 2003 Reverse Grid Race series. Last time out we had the Australian Grand Prix and it wasn't exactly the most enthralling Grand Prix ever. I'm the only person in the world who watched the entire 20 laps and I can tell you that there were large chunks of the Grand Prix where nothing happened, certainly nothing in the points positions. It was a race which was more decided by retirements than on-track overtakes. Anyway, that was the Australian Grand Prix. There weren't that many overtakes, and I think you can tell by the shock in my commentary during that race. I was surprised by how few overtakes there were, but one thing I failed to realise is that the rain has a massive impact, certainly around Australia. It has a massive impact on the quantity of overtakes. Because I did a lot of practice races heading into this series before I recorded the first episode, many of which were around Australia. However, most of them, if not all of them, were in dry weather conditions. So then I record the video, the first one ever, in light rain conditions. And yeah, the amount of overtakes was reduced drastically. However, the second round of the season, the Malaysian Grand Prix, there's going to be a lot of overtakes this Grand Prix, I can pretty much assure you of that. Partly because the Sepang International Circuit is very different to Albert Park. There's longer straights, the track is wider, there's far more overtaking opportunities overall. And this Grand Prix is going to be in fully dry conditions, sunny conditions. Looking at the starting grid, you got Ralph Firman in the Jordan starting from pole position. He was beaten by both Minardis in qualifying. And Fisichella did much better in qualifying, so that says a lot about Ralph Firman. However, it wasn't really a good day for Ralph's in general because Ralf Schumacher in the BMW Williams qualified for the real-life Malaysian Grand Prix in 17th. And I couldn't really find any explanation for it. There wasn't any car issue, there wasn't any weather changes which would have impacted him. He just didn't have a good lap. There wasn't really a reason for it, it was just a poor performance. And in a one-lap shootout qualifying format, if your initial qualifying lap isn't great, yeah sure there weren't any major distinct mistakes, but if your initial qualifying lap is a bit cautious or not perfect, there's no opportunity to improve on that, and that's it, done. So, Ralf Schumacher qualified in 17th. In the real life race, he did recover and he did still have a fairly decent finish. However, his poor qualifying here is going to help him out massively in the Grand Prix because starting in 4th, he's got two Minardis and a Jordan ahead of him. Ralf Schumacher could leave this Grand Prix leading the Drivers' Championship. Bearing in mind he finished 2nd in the Australian Grand Prix. And further on down the field, there's not too much else to say, it's fairly standard. There's Montoya in the other BMW Williams, Heifeld with a decent qualifying session, but then you've got Renault. 1st and 2nd in qualifying, 3rd and 5th in the race. This turn of pace kind of came out of nowhere, and the reason I'm mentioning it to such an extent is because I don't think we'll be seeing much of them in this Reverse Grid Grand Prix. But with all that said, let's head on into the Reverse Grid 2003 Malaysian Grand Prix.
And any time now we'll be racing here at Sepang. It's hot and it's steamy. We've got 2 lights, we've got 3 lights, 4, 5, and it's go! Everyone away, and under this majestic grandstand, they accelerate their cars, burning down towards turn 1.
Well, thank you, James Allen, and yes, they are burning down towards turn 1, and Ralph Firman comfortably leading the field. Mark Webber briefly up into second, but just around the outside line. You do not want to be caught around the outside line because that has cost Webber a lot of possession. Second, he's now down into the midfield. Ralf Schumacher has made up headway. Lucky for him that he didn't get caught up around the outside. Honestly, if you get caught up around the outside, around turn 2, turn 3, that's it, game over. You basically grind to a halt. So Ralf Schumacher is in third place. We've got 2 Ralphs in the top 3. Fizzy Keller has moved up to 4th. Jacques Villeneuve 5th. Kimi Räikkönen in 6th. And in fact, I think that's an overtake on... Oh no, it's not going to be... It's not going to stick, actually. No, it's not. Jos Verstappen has defended second place from Ralf Schumacher. What about Kimi Räikkönen? He's in 5th place. And I think he's past Villeneuve, but he's got to get past Fizzy Keller. Right. I'm just anticipating, in fact, no, side by side, Fizzy Keller and Kimi Räikkönen towards the final corner. And oh no, because, no, Räikkönen is... He's taking such a long line that... In fact, such a long line that Jacques Villeneuve has got past. You just do not want to be caught up around the outside of any turn, because in this game, the AI, if they're on the outside of the turn, they are really on the outside of the turn. And we're going to see the same thing potentially with Fizzy Keller. Yeah, just so slow, just grinding to a halt. There's no... The cars in this game are either on the racing line or the very outer edge of the track. There's not really a middle ground at this point. But with one lap done, Ralf Firman is leading, Jos Verstappen second, Ralf Schumacher in third, Jacques Villeneuve up into 4th, Kimi Räikkönen in 5th, Giancarlo Fisichella in 6th, Olivier Panis in 7th, and Juan Pablo Montoya is holding the final points place for now, with Rubens Barrichello in 9th and David Coulthard in 10th. That means, oh, in fact, there he is, Michael Schumacher, but he is the farthest back driver in one of the top 3 teams. Wow, that is extraordinary, actually. But towards the front, in fact, Kimi Räikkönen has passed Jacques Villeneuve. We'll see if we can get a replay of that on board with Kimi Räikkönen. So here he was in 5th place, going around the double right-hander. And I think it's going to happen in this corner. This is one of the prime overtaking opportunities. Although Villeneuve went defensive, shaking the car, thinking he was going to pass Ralf Schumacher. And in fact, he got a pull run out of the corner because he went round the very inner line. Generally, there's not really... In this game, there is a quick line and a slow line. That's it. There's not really... There's not 2 racing lines, or there's not...
And he's out. Surely his race is over. There's smoke pouring from the back of the car, and he's not going to get it to the pit lane. That's for sure.
Yes, something major seems to have broken on the car. That'll be disappointing for the team, who've been working really hard on their reliability.
Wow, well, thanks James Allen and Martin Brundle. Ralf Schumacher out of the Malaysian Grand Prix from 3rd place. Ralf Firman, the other Ralf, is still out there and still leading the Grand Prix. But I think Jos Verstappen, he has been passed by Kimi Räikkönen for 2nd in the Malaysian Grand Prix. Let's see if we can get a replay on that. And this is... I almost feel like our commentators cursed it. Didn't I say in the pre-race intro that I believed that Ralf Schumacher was going to be leading the Drivers' Championship, exiting this Grand Prix, and he's not even going to finish the race. And as James Allen rightly points out, as we're going to see, yeah, just Verstappen grounded to a halt, and Räikkönen got the acceleration, got the clean air, comfortably into 2nd place. But as James Allen rightly pointed out, there is the other Williams of Montoya, certainly trying to get past Olivier Panis. But as James Allen pointed out, Williams have certainly been working on the reliability they needed to, because in the 2002 Reverse Grid Race Series, Williams would have been so much closer to Ferrari had they had the same reliability. That was Williams' issue. It wasn't really a lack of pace, it was more a lack of reliability. And we're going to see Montoya, no, he's not going to get past Olivier Panis. And see if we can... There we go. So we've got Jacques Villeneuve in 5th, Giancarlo Fisichella in 4th, Jos Verstappen still in 3rd place. Kimi Räikkönen, though, has caught up to Ralf Firman, and it's really only a matter of time before we're going to see a positional change here. So, coming round the final corner. Now, Raikkonen's got a very good exit. I was wondering, because he was taking a different line, but he just stuck to the back of Ralph Firman. And then once he got the car straight, used the Mercedes power, bang, straight past Firman. And that is Kimi Raikkonen into first place and leading the Malaysian Grand Prix. And there you go. Let me just have a quick rundown of the race order. So we got, there you go, Ralf Schumacher out. Justin Wilson is also out of the Grand Prix. I have to say, I don't remember seeing him. He might have retired on the starting grid, because that is... No, he can't have done, because we would have seen it, but he did retire early on. Anyway, we've got Kimi Raikkonen in first, Ralf Firman in second, quite a way ahead of Jacques Villeneuve, who has got a lot on his plate. And, well, in fact, let's have a look at this. So, we've got Jos Verstappen, who was in third place. There he is battling with Jacques Villeneuve, but Villeneuve, he's... In fact, it wasn't really a lack of drive that caught out Verstappen, it was just a lack of power. The Honda-powered BAR was able to just get past the, technically, Asiatech-powered Minardi, and then, well, the floodgates opened, just like in the Australian Grand Prix. Once one person got past Verstappen, the second person got past Verstappen, except here, well, once one person got past Verstappen, well, I think 3 people have passed him already, but I think it's kind of inevitable. In fact, there is another overtake. That is Giancarlo Fisichella, I believe, on. And there's also a Renault there. I don't think we'd be seeing much of the Renaults this Grand Prix. And the Renault driver hasn't got past. That is Fernando Alonso, who started in 20th and is up into a points place. Wow, I didn't even need to mention the Renaults. I didn't need to make a special mention because, well, the Renaults, they're right up there. And there you go. So, where is Verstappen now? Nowhere. He's just, that's it, gone. Way outside of the points place. Is 12th. That's it. So, the Minardis are down and out. Right, I think we can finally actually get a cut. So, let me just run down the race order. Kimi Raikkonen is leading. Ralf Firman in second. You've got Michael Schumacher in third. That means there's been some overtakes on Jacques Villeneuve. I thought it was a distinct possibility, but I did also assume that that Jacques Villeneuve was going to hold on for a little bit longer, but Michael Schumacher's alongside, and we're going to see him, there you go, just edge ahead. And Barrichello also must have made the move, heading down into the first corner, nearly pushing Villeneuve out of the way. In fact, oh, we did actually, okay, we did cut while the move was being made, and Barrichello took the not preferential outside line, but I think Barrichello, there you go, is going to have 4th place sewn up. There you go. So, let's have another rundown of the race positions, and I think I might be able to take a quick break. So, Kimi Raikkonen is leading the Malaysian Grand Prix. Ralf Firman, for now at least, is in second. Michael Schumacher is breathing down his neck in third. Barrichello 4th. Jacques Villeneuve 5th. Fernando Alonso, amazingly, from 20th up to 6th. Fisichella in 7th, but he's got Montoya and Coulthard to deal with. Coulthard now in 8th place.
Fisichella sets a new personal best time in Sector 2.
Jordan's Ralf Firman is doing his best to keep the other car behind him.
Doing his best, but his best is just not going to be enough. Ralf Firman round the final corner. Yes, a good inside line, but then look, he's got a Ferrari. Not either side, that was briefly, but there you go. Michael Schumacher into second place, no doubt about it. And I think, much like the previous lap, Barrichello is going to get past Firman. In fact, well, no, yes, it's pretty much a like-for-like move. A bit easier, but yeah, Barrichello got past Firman in much the same way he got past Villeneuve in the previous lap. So that's the top 3 positions done. So here we go. So Raikkonen is coming up to the double right-hander in the middle of Sector 2. And Schumacher, a good 10 seconds back, perhaps.
Firman has got his hands full holding back Alonso. Jordan's Ralf Firman did everything he could to try and keep back Fernando Alonso.
Well, yeah, of course he did everything he could, but there's just not that much he can really do. Ralf Firman has now lost the position to Fernando Alonso. And of course we've got that misleading best lap graphic coming up. Of course that's just a personal best lap for Fernando Alonso, not the best lap of the Grand Prix. David Coulthard has now passed Ralf Firman. So we've got Two Jordans just about clinging on to the final 2 points places. Montoya still can't get past Fisichella. That is quite extraordinary, but Fernando Alonso, I know the Renault's a quick car in this game, the 4th quickest car in the game, but I just didn't expect him to do this well. And Jarno Trulli's looking quite racy as well. This is extraordinary from Fernando Alonso. 4th place is pretty much... No, Ralph Firman has retired. You can see on the bottom. Hang on, no! I've just read it. Kimi Räikkönen? Please tell me this is on the replay. Don't... Kimi Räikkönen has retired from 1st place. No, I won't believe it until I see it. This is... He was comfortably in 1st. No, that is extraordinary. Kimi Räikkönen with an engine failure. And that means Michael Schumacher's leading the Grand Prix. Oh my word, this is completely shaken up the Drivers' Championship. In fact, no, we still want this, so we can look at Ralph Firman. But I was convinced that either Ralf Schumacher or Kimi Räikkönen was going to exit this Grand Prix leading the Drivers' Championship. There's Ralph Firman! Quite a dangerous place for his engine to go, and that doesn't just seem like an engine failure, that seems like a complete system shutdown. That seems like a system failure. Because the engine went, but also the car just instantly stopped. That's like an engine failure coupled with the brakes locking on, because, I mean, look, he's going. Of course, yes, he wasn't going quickly anyway, but... Oh, and there was contact between himself and Montoya. We'll have a look. Is there any damage on Montoya's car? We'll have to see. I doubt there would be, to be honest with a... Oh no, Montoya's car is still looking in fairly good shape. Let's have a look at this from Montoya's perspective, but I can't believe Ralph Firman retired. It was warned to me in the comments that Ralph Firman does retire a lot in this game, so we might have to have a Ralph Firman retirement counter going in the comments if you're watching the Mad Dog 40. But look at that, Ralph Firman, I mean, that was just silly for Montoya, to be perfectly honest, and it lost him a position.
Pablo Montoya has got his hands full holding back Panis.
Holding back Panis. No, I'm sorry, James Allen, you've got it wrong there. That was Montoya passing Olivier Panis. Well, now he's got his hands full trying to keep him back, but I think it's... Yeah, it's set in stone. There you go. You've got Juan Pablo Montoya back into a points place, and assuming no one retires ahead of him in an awkward place and then he crashes into them again, assuming that doesn't happen, Montoya should have at least a point to his name come the end of this Grand Prix. But compared to the other top team drivers, he's not doing especially well. I mean, David Coulthard much further up the field in 5th place, potentially soon to be 4th. Räikkönen and Ralf Schumacher were doing much better before they retired. And then you got this, a Ferrari 1-2. I knew it was inevitable at some point we were going to see a Ferrari 1-2. I certainly wasn't expecting it at this Grand Prix. But there you go, Michael Schumacher leading. I should say, actually, last time out, I heard Martin Brundle said that Barrichello set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so we'll keep an eye out on the inter-team battle there. Fernando Alonso in 3rd place, from 20th to 3rd in the 4th quickest car. That's extraordinary. I mean, retirements helped him out certainly, but even still, he would still be in a solid points place even without Räikkönen and Ralf Schumacher's retirements. Villeneuve holding 4th place though. At some point, surely at some point, Coulthard's going to overtake. Coulthard is going to want to overtake soon because he is very quickly getting a reputation for someone who can't overtake or someone who struggles to overtake. 18 laps he was stuck up behind Mark Webber in Australia, and here, at least he's looking racy, at least he's looking like he's trying to get past Villeneuve, but for the time being, he's still stuck up behind him. I think it's actually happened. Finally, an overtake. No. Yes. Oh my words, there has been so many laps where nothing has happened, but finally we've had a piece of action. I would like to apologise. I mean, this Grand Prix had a very explosive, action-packed, relentless first half. Quite difficult to commentate on, so I would also like to say, you know, hopefully I'll be able to clean up the commentary a bit in editing, because I don't think I did the best job of articulating what was going on in the first half of the Grand Prix, because it was wild. And I'm sorry for not showing you most of the second half of the Grand Prix, but nothing's happened. Montoya passed Giancarlo Fisichella to move up into 7th. And there's been like 3 occasions where Coulthard has been side by side with Villeneuve, and we might see it happen. It's always, so round turn 1, turn 2, he gets a good exit, and yeah, this is going to be an exact repeat. Side by side, or not, okay, not quite side by side, but there have been occasions where they have been side by side heading into this corner, but then Villeneuve has the inside line, Coulthard the outside line. Villeneuve retains the place because he has the racing line, and that's happened on 3 separate occasions. Trulli has got sort of close to passing Coulthard on a couple of occasions, but that's it. And Montoya showed no signs of even attempting to pass Fisichella until when he did. What a race it has been for Michael Schumacher. He has got so lucky. Kimi Raikkonen was leading the Grand Prix by a long shot and then retired with an engine failure. Ralf Schumacher should have won this Grand Prix. I would have put my life savings on Ralf Schumacher to win the Grand Prix. And then his engine went. His brother, though, is going to get much, much luckier. Let's have a look at the best laps. Schumacher... yeah, Schumacher's been slightly quicker. I mean, lap 16 there. Barrichello and Schumacher set exactly the same lap time, but it's fair to say Ferrari were lucky, to be honest. Ralf Schumacher's retirement helped them out. Kimi Raikkonen's retirement certainly helped out Ferrari. They did have the pace. They passed the likes of Montoya, who was crashing into the back of Ralf Firman, who himself retired. A frantic Grand Prix, explosive in the first half. But the team that came out of the other side was Ferrari. Michael Schumacher wins the Malaysian Grand Prix with Rubens Barrichello in 2nd.
To give him the perfect result. 10 points for him, 10 points for his team. It doesn't get any better than this for a Formula 1 driver.
Fernando Alonso coming round the final corner for Renault to finish in 3rd. Fernando Alonso in a Renault in 3rd, and the Renault's only the 4th quickest car in this season. Yeah, reliability issues helped him out, but that is an extraordinary result. 20th to 3rd, 17 positions gained. That's amazing. Jacques Villeneuve, what a defensive drive from him to finish in 4th. Although, good offensive driving as well, because, I mean, he worked his way up into a decent position and then just held off Coulthard. Trulli stuck in 6th with Coulthard in 5th. Montoya eventually got past Fisichella. And there you go, Montoya at 7th, Giancarlo Fisichella, the sole remaining Jordan. And again, a very good defensive drive from Fisichella to finish in 8th. And I think Ralf Firman wasn't looking, he was looking a bit ropey, a bit ragged. I think Ralf Firman was dropping down the order much quicker than Fisichella. But there you go, there are the race results. I told you it was going to be very different to the Australian Grand Prix, and I said there was going to be a lot more overtakes, and there were overtakes aplenty, certainly in the first half of the Grand Prix, but to be fair, come the second half of the race, most of the top team drivers had already worked their way up into a points place anyway. There weren't that many realistic overtakes that could have been made. I mean, Coulthard we would have expected to pass Villeneuve. Trulli could have done, but that would have been quite tricky for him, to be honest. I mean, the pace difference between the BAR and Renault isn't exactly massive, but yeah, what a Grand Prix. A Ferrari 1-2. I can't get over the fact that both Raikkonen and Ralf Schumacher retired. If one of them retired, it wouldn't have been too surprising, but both of them retired, and their teammates didn't. That's... wow. And they were 1st and 2nd in the Drivers' Championship heading into this Grand Prix. I'm just amazed, absolutely amazed. So then, it's on to the Drivers' Championship standings, and I'm not quite sure of the finer details because both Kimi Raikkonen and Michael Schumacher have had very similar seasons. They've both won a Grand Prix, and in the other Grand Prix, they both retired due to an engine failure, so it honestly depends on the highest retirement finishing position. So Raikkonen and Michael Schumacher, I'm not sure who's on the top. You'll know who's on the top because I will have had a chance to go through the race results, and I think Raikkonen finished in about 16th, and it depends whether Schumacher finished higher in the Australian Grand Prix or didn't finish higher, to be honest. But I mean, I was convinced that leaving this Malaysian Grand Prix, either Raikkonen or my money was on Ralf Schumacher was going to leave the Malaysian Grand Prix on top in the Drivers' Championship. I mean, don't get me wrong, Raikkonen and Ralf Schumacher, they're still in very good positions. Raikkonen tied with Michael Schumacher, Ralf Schumacher tied with Barrichello, but the championship could have been very, very different. David Coulthard, though, third in the Drivers' Championship with 9 points. Coulthard is one of only 2 drivers to have scored points in both Grand Prix. The other one is Giancarlo Fisichella. 3 points in the previous Grand Prix, 1 point here. Giancarlo Fisichella, probably the person you would least expect to score points in both Grand Prix, but credit to him, Fisichella, he hasn't done an amazing job, but he's only in a Jordan. He can't exactly work wonders, but he's just done the best he can. Anyway, onto the Constructors' Championship, and McLaren are still leading the Constructors' Championship, so the team which went into this Grand Prix in the lead has come out of it still in the lead, albeit only just. McLaren scored 4 points, Ferrari 18. Looking at the other teams though, you've got Williams with 10 points, and it's actually quite well balanced in the midfield. BAR, Jaguar, Minardi, Jordan, Toyota, all fairly close. Yes, Sauber have got no points, but they're only 2 behind Toyota, and Toyota, again, I don't think they'll do especially well in this championship. I don't know, just Toyota and Sauber look like the 2 teams which, they're too quick in real life to be starting in a high up position, yet they're too slow in this game to be able to defend from the top teams and also be able to pass the back marker drivers quickly. I just think they strike a middle ground which doesn't work on any level, unfortunately. I mean, I could be completely wrong. In fact, predictions I've made in reverse grid race videos in the past generally haven't come true. My strike rate, my conversion rate with predictions hasn't been all that great. So then guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next episode for the Brazilian Grand Prix. The 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix is, without a doubt, one of the craziest Formula 1 races in the 21st century. That's the real life Grand Prix though, and I don't think the reverse grid Grand Prix will quite be able to live up to that Grand Prix's legendary status. But even despite that, we'll see what happens in the 2003 reverse grid Brazilian Grand Prix in the next episode.